Can God create a boulder too heavy for him to lift? Greetings, everyone. Please like this video and subscribe to my page. I would greatly appreciate it. Some of you may be familiar with this question. The question makes a great point concerning what the masses globally have been convinced to think about what has been labeled God. Now, if you ask the question to a religious zealot, I surmise he will respond with, God can do anything. So of course God can create a boulder that's too heavy for him to lift. But after you explain to the zealot that his response actually means that God cannot do anything because he cannot lift the boulder he created, the zealot is likely to retort with, God can still do anything. So if God creates a boulder, no matter how heavy it is, he certainly can lift it. Brothers and sisters, do you see the conundrum? If you say that because God can do anything, he can create a boulder too heavy for him to lift, this means he cannot lift the boulder, which means he cannot do anything. On the other hand, if you say that because God can do anything, if he creates a boulder, he can certainly lift it. This also means he cannot do anything because he cannot create a boulder that's too heavy for him to lift. This question is philosophical, of course, and is often referred to as the omnipotence paradox and goes back to medieval times. The primary purpose of this question is to get those in religion to realize that what they accept as God simply cannot be so. God cannot be what the masses have accepted God to be. If you disagree, then you have the unenviable task of explaining how God can do anything in respect to the question, can God create a boulder too heavy for him to lift? This question should serve to awaken the masses to the fallacy of God as expressed in religious terms. When I say religious terms, I am referring to the process of indoctrinating the masses concerning the source of everything. In other words, the masses are convinced to, quote, read this, don't question this, and accept this wholeheartedly, for it is the undeniable truth concerning the source of all, end quote. You can apply this statement to any of the major world religions. In man's ignorance and arrogance, he cannot see beyond himself. Therefore, he manufactures explanations of a source so great as to be nearly incomprehensible to him. In his ignorance and diabolical desire to control the masses, he misunderstands and corrupts allegory and other elements used by more ancient legacies for the purpose of describing or explaining the source of everything. Brothers and sisters, any attempt to describe what is called God in terms other than principle or law is off the mark. Now, there is a potentially devastating effect of this question. If this question is given consideration by the masses, it could cause organized religion to begin to crumble. Think about it, brothers and sisters. If those who practice organized religion realize that God cannot actually do anything, then God loses his power God loses his power. But there is no real loss of power for something that doesn't exist in the first place. The real power is an understanding that what we call God must be abandoned for universal law, universal mind, the great principle, the great law, and such terms that more accurately describe the source of all. God is a term used to subjugate the masses, not free the masses. God is a term used to subjugate the masses, not free the masses. This paradoxical question also emphasizes that God is expressed as a sentient being, just like human beings. This is the grave error that the priesthood and religious hierarchy have made over the last 2,000 years. They have made God just like human beings, just exponentially greater or exponentially worse, depending on your point of view. In any case, by doing so, the priesthood has crippled its own manufactured God. All you have to do is ask, can God create a boulder too heavy for him to lift? And as you proceed, you and the person you pose the question to will witness religion's manufactured God disintegrate right in front of you, as it must and as it should, because it is necessary to free the minds of the masses. If God is all-knowing as they preach to us, all-powerful as they preach to us, or in other words, God can do anything as they preach to us, then he should be able to create a boulder too heavy for him to lift. Right? No? Thank you for your time and consideration. Love and harmony, Brother Osiris.